I'm delighted to be here today. My name is Eilish Jamieson. I'm a non-exec director on the board of the British Business Bank. And this is the second year that we've sponsored the event here. And we've actually worked with Southeast Angels for a number of years as well. So if you're sitting there wondering who the British Business Bank is, you won't be alone, because we actually hear this quite a lot. And that's not a bad thing. I don't think we're failing as a result of that. The British Business Bank is the government's independently run economic development bank. So we exist to ensure that, thank you, Christina. I told you there was too much technology for me. We exist to ensure that financial markets work well for small businesses. So that's so that businesses can start, that they can scale, and that they can succeed. And it goes without saying that we can't help businesses succeed without helping investors to succeed. We work through a network of 200 delivery partners, which is why, on the whole, you don't see the British Business Bank on the high street or anything like that. Those delivery partners are VCs, they're fund managers, they're fintechs, their platforms, and so on. In fact, I think we have a few in the room. Nick, who spoke earlier, is one of our delivery partners, and we've got quite a number of others that are here today. So I've been asked to speak to you on the topic of, is it down arrow? On the topic of market conditions and the opportunity for UK investors. And I was given 5 minutes. I already see that we've gone past 4. So hold on to your seats, folks. This is going to be like a ride on the roller coaster on the pier. But perhaps I can just start by saying, when we think about market conditions for the startup community in the UK from a board perspective at the British Business Bank, we think about supply and we think about demand and about the things that go on in between that. This is one of those things that goes on in between that, where people convene and we bring businesses and investors together. So if I start on the supply side, it will be no surprise to everyone to know that at the beginning of this last financial year, we were still pretty subdued. So I think when this event was going on last year, we were probably quite hopeful. We started 2024 hoping that things were really going to pick up. It didn't. Geopolitical pressures continued, the uncertainty continued, and managers weren't really interested in closing that many deals. The bank is as an economic development bank, is counter-cyclical. So we continue to invest through the cycle. And so we did continue to fulfill our mandate, but it was a really tough environment. And by the end of last year, we had started to see the deal volume start to pick up, and that the market as a whole was starting to warm up. This year has been even better still. And so I think if I were to really summarize that, we now think that we're back to where we were about 2020, where the market supply is really starting to pick up again. We obviously know we had that money tree period in between that we're not expecting that we're going to go back to again, but maybe some point in the future, and we certainly feel that we're doing it in a much more measured way. Looking at the demand side of things, demand has remained pretty constant. It's as high as ever. And when we speak to founders, our founders are increasingly mission-driven. I think you'll pick that up from the speakers today. They're diverse in nature, and they're looking for more than just capital. And I think as investors in the room today, and from the individuals I've spoke to outside the room, you're also looking for more than just giving your capital into great businesses. The UK has continued to be the third largest VC market in the world after the US and China, which is a fact I think sometimes we don't celebrate enough. So while total investment is significantly dwarfed by the US, the actual percentage, which is UK VC investment, has doubled over the last few years. And that hasn't happened by accident. It's happened through a combination of public and private sector investment, tax-efficient programs such as EIS and SEIS, which we've heard mentioned too, and the rise of what we call systemic enablers, such as syndicates and collective investing, which enables more people to participate in the space. I think more importantly, what we're also seeing is a real notable shift in investor confidence. If we go back just a couple of years ago, the idea of being able to sit with pension funds and talk about them investing into venture and early stage venture in particular was pretty much not really going to happen. But that's where we are today. And if any of you have been reading the news announcements this morning, we've had even more come out off the back of the pensions review on what we intend to do in that space, which is really good news. Despite the green shoots, regional inequalities have persisted stubbornly. Investment in female-led businesses remains disproportionately low, and I think we're all probably familiar with the less than 2% which goes to female-led businesses. So the call for people in place has never been louder, and the bank has been responding to this through a number of existing programmes and new programmes, including our £250 million regional angel programme, which I know some of you are working closely with us on, a £1.6 billion nation and regions programme, and also our most recent announcement of 50 million into female-led fund managers as part of our Investing in Women task force. What else is the research telling us? Well, the headline is pretty clear. The UK isn't investing enough into early stage businesses, creating what the chair of our board, Stephen Welton, referred to as an incubator economy for the US, where great, fantastic, high potential businesses being started in the UK get acquired by US groups, or they move there for funding and potential listing. So on the topic of the US, I'm nearly over time. On the topic of the US, where do we stand? That's always one that everyone's pretty interested in. So the US VC market had the same boom and correction that we had here within the last few years, but it remained pretty robust. And that has largely been influenced by the AI sector there, which has been very, very strong. Size is often a focus of the US-UK VC discussion. And if you look at the amount that's raised in subsequent rounds, so I'm talking rounds 4, 5, and 6 in the US, that is often 3 times what a comparable company might raise here in the UK. So you can very easily see how the disproportionate effect starts to happen between the size of the market between the UK and the US. However, talent and innovation are globally dispersed, and the US is going to have to face into a bit of headwind there under the current administration. And I think we see there's real opportunity for the UK to really hold on to its amazing talent. A quick mention on the opportunities for UK investors. I think you've heard lots of it today already, but from a British Business Bank perspective, we think the tailwinds are really positive. We've got a pipeline of innovative businesses, not least from our university spin-outs, growing pools of talent, like best in the world talent in areas such as fintech, AI, green tech, and life sciences, increasing levels of public and private level investment, both domestically and internationally. Much needed, fingers crossed, domestic fiscal and monetary stability, and a pro-growth policy agenda, and a maturing funding ecosystem that's ripe for innovation. And we do need to continue to innovate. None of those things can stand still. There's exciting times ahead for the bank as the Economic Development Bank. Recent reforms mean that we now will have more flexibilities moving forward. And we've also just announced the regulatory approval of the British Growth Partnership, which means for the first time the bank will be raising and managing third-party money, including pension fund money. We continue to support the angel investment space and recently announced through our Regional Angels programme an investment into Hatch, which was an existing delivery partner, of 7 million to co-invest alongside a number of syndicates, of which, and I don't know if Nick from the Games Angel is still here, Nick from the Games Angel is one, and we also had 2 female syndicates, female-only syndicates that went into that. We hope that that will increase further, and we really do believe that it's got the potential to be really successful. But there's still a lot of work for us to do, and the bank is only 10 years itself in terms of operation. So we're by no means a finished article, but we're very excited about the momentum and the opportunities that lie ahead.